what's going on guys? Arekkz here, welcome back to another video for Animal Crossing New Horizons, and in this one we're back again with another episode of the new 5-star build project. For those of you guys, again, that maybe haven't caught these episodes so far, I have now created a playlist, so if you've missed any of the previous episodes you can watch them all back to back. But long story short, I previously had a 5-star island, I got bored of it, decided I wanted to do something fresh, so I destroyed everything, completely flattened the island, removed all the rivers, removed everything, so it was a completely blank slate, and we're then starting a brand new series where we basically build back up to a cool new island, taking recommendations from you guys in the comments, that kind of stuff, and that is effectively what we're doing in this series. And if you guys caught the last episode, you'll know that we had a comment from Rintaro who basically suggested that we turn the sort of residential quarter, or at least part of it, into Kakariko Village, which I really like because, again, I'm a massive Zelda fan. So we started building Kakariko Village last episode. I am doing more to it this episode. Admittedly, this week, the episode is slightly shorter because it's been a really busy week, so I haven't had a chance to kind of do as much building as I would have liked, but we've still made some good progress. We've got all the necessary houses in, as you'll see in a minute, and we're now getting close to the point where I basically just need to start decorating this quarter of the village. So I think once we move into next week's episode, we're going to start thinking about what is next. So, with that being said, before I kind of like jump onto the actual building process itself, I want to take a moment to jump in and put out a few comments from last week's video because some of you guys made some great suggestions. First up, we had one from Master Commander, which I really like the idea of this one. He suggested that we could use the museum effectively as Hyrule Castle because, as I mentioned in last week's episode, I couldn't put the museum where the windmill goes because it was just too big. So I definitely like the idea of doing that. We're going to kind of move that probably more sort of in the central area. Maybe I'll do that behind, you know, where the kind of secret passageways, the secret beaches. And he said then with the sandy beach on the left, you could almost make that into Gerudo Valley, and at the bottom could be Lake Hylia, which I really like the idea of because, of course, having loads of different sort of pockets of areas. I was even thinking maybe of having one corner to be like Kokiri Forest because, of course, it's got that kind of cool area with like elevated platforms and the sort of stepping stones across the river. Maybe I might kind of do a few more houses around there. That could be kind of fun. So we might look into that one a little bit later on. But yes, definitely like that idea. Ace Leaf also recommended that a windmill might look better if I have the silo instead of the lighthouse, which I definitely agree with. I'm running a little bit low on materials, so once I get the silo, I will definitely make that swap. Benji also called out when I kind of asked in the last episode whether I kind of should put houses flush to the wall or whether I should use brick walls. I opted to go for brick walls, as you'll see in this video, and it also raises a good point that I need walls anyway to go towards the 5-star quota, so it's kind of two birds, one stone. Also, definitely from Luan something, I want to get ducks. I haven't got them, but that using them to kind of simulate the cuckoos would be really, really cool because I want to place them in the sort of key places around Kakariko Village, so definitely going to look out for those. And also, I didn't even know you could do this, but Caitlin B says you can use panels to effectively recreate walls, and you can basically put a brick pattern on them. That I need to look into because, honestly, as you'll see as this episode is kind of going out, I've got the brick walls there right now, not entirely sure whether I'm super happy with them, so we may look into changing them later on. Also, a shout out to AB who actually noticed at 4 minutes 48 in the last episode, I was trying to dig a hole and I completely missed it 3 times in a row. Anyway, let's talk about this week's progress. So as mentioned, first things first, I opted in the end to go for the brick walls on the side and then the houses. I'll admit, I'm still not entirely sure if I like this. I kind of toyed around with both ideas, and for some of them, as you'll see later on, I sort of had to just go with, you know, some flush on the edges. So I've kind of got a mix and match, so it's not really, I don't know, it's not perfect. I mean, this is never going to be perfect because obviously I don't necessarily have the exact tools to recreate one-for-one Kakariko Village. And I will say, as I'm doing this build more and more, I am getting ever so slightly frustrated by the fact that I just didn't plan this quite as well as I could have. I'm not going back now. There is no going back. I've sunk too much time into this already. There is no going back. But I do sincerely wish that I had have thought this through slightly more so and properly laid it out, because as you'll begin to see as we sort of move further into the project, there are some houses that ideally, if you look at Kakariko Village one for one, I don't really have the space to do this. Now, you could do this had I not pushed it so far up against the corner of the map and actually gave myself some more room. But again, I'm not going to kind of split hairs here. I'm not going to kind of cry over spilt milk because I've laid this foundation. If I really wanted to change it, I could, but I'm not about to sink another like 10 hours into flattening it and starting again. So we're going to go with my version of this. It's going to be close enough. It's fine. Anyway, no one's really going to be marking me on this. And as I said last episode, if you don't like it, do it yourself and do it better. Anyway, with all that said and done, on the left side of the village, I of course had to start filling in some more of the sort of cliff faces because there is another elevation there. We got the final staircasing on that one as well. And I decided to build up the maximum elevation for the kind of cliff face to try and sort of create the edge of this area. Keep in mind in Kakariko Village, when you go to the top left-hand corner and you go past the final 2 buildings, you then go up a little staircase towards Death Mountain, Obviously, I can't do that in this because I can't have a staircase going up one more elevation. I've reached the maximum possible height. So unfortunately, there's going to be no transition into Death Mountain in this build. So we're kind of going to have to just sort of like end it there. I also realized along the process as well that the river that I'd initially carved out down the middle of the island was getting in the way. So I had to go and reshuffle that, adjust that slightly so that I could then basically make space for more land because I needed to put some more houses over there. But again, if we look at the Kakariko map, you can see this is effectively what I'm trying to do. We're looking at the left side of the village now. You basically have this staircase that goes up. You have one house that is basically on the back of the staircase, another one on the other side of it. They're sort of staggered ever so slightly. So I've essentially carved the cliff out so that it looks as close as possible, and then I'll fill in the gaps around there afterwards. Now, the one problem case we have in this situation is, and this is precisely why I was saying I really wish I'd actually worked out the layout slightly better. If you again look at Kakariko Village, on the far right side of the village, you go up this staircase here, and there is a house right behind it. That's where the fence is. That's where one of the cuckoos is typically hidden, one of the secret ones. And then off the back of that, normally there would be another elevation, and you would then put the building up there because this is a 2-story building in Zelda. So you have the sort of the chicken pen behind it, or the cuckoo pen, should I say, and you then have like a staircase going up there. Obviously, I can't do that again because it's another elevation. And more importantly, I just don't have the room. It's so close to the edge of the cliff that I'm really kind of constrained here as to what I can do. So this is probably the most annoying part of the build. This is the part where I really, really wish I thought this through because layout-wise, yeah, I mean, I know I said I'm not too fussed, but I kind of am. Like, this is bugging me. This is the one thing that I can't quite do. I know it doesn't have to be one for one. It's largely speaking more an inspiration, and I could just move the building elsewhere, but I'm trying to get it as close as possible. So, whatever. What I ended up having to do was basically just put the building at the side of the cliff, and that's the best I can really do. So layout-wise, it's kind of in the right place. It's just not visually that appealing. And I also won't have space to put the cuckoo pen behind it, which is also one thing missing. So again, you know, whatever. But that is it for the time being. Of course, after that, I then went to the middle, decided to plant a tree. I chose a cedar tree for this one because it's kind of more reminiscent of the one that's in the village. I also took a recommendation as well. Someone said in the comments last time to swap out the well because there are 2 versions of the well. Keep in mind when you go to Kakariko Village in Ocarina of Time, at one point it's just sort of the destroyed well. Another point there is sort of a little kind of archway over it. It doesn't have a roof, admittedly, so I've decided to take that recommendation and swap it for the regular stone well. I've also put a little sort of signpost in front of it because at one point in the game there is like a little signpost. So I've started to kind of decorate, and then what I've also done is gone around the village, and where there are normally wooden crates, I don't know if there's an item for wooden crates. If there is, please let me know in the comments down below, but I've basically put wooden crates, or in place of wooden crates, I've put down cardboard boxes, and that kind of begins the layout. Again, for the front of the village, I haven't quite got the archway just yet, and there's obviously some more decorating I need to do. I've also then gone around and thrown some flowers behind the fence by the side of the shop. Admittedly, they're not in the actual build for Kakariko Village, but I'm also mindful that I'm gonna have to have flowers. As much as I don't like them, I'm gonna have to have flowers at some point in the build, so I figured I might as well just hide them in like an archway or like behind the fence where you can't actually get to, you can't really see them too much, because then it means I can kind of tick off the 5-star quota without really affecting the visuals too much. So that's kind of it. That's a little rundown of the build so far. That's sort of where we're at the moment. This is now a little sort of quick run around for Kakariko Village as it currently stands. So of course you run through the entrance, you have the tree in the middle, you then have the side staircase which goes up, which then snakes around to the other staircase. That's where you find 2 of the villagers. You can then go back down from there. We go to the middle area. You of course have that house that I spoke about with the other one on the far side. We then have the middle raised element where, of course, in the earlier part of the game, it's a kind of construction site. Later on, there's a house. I opted to put the construction site here, again, because I just didn't have the space. I tried to put a house here. It just wasn't big enough. Again, you know, foresight and planning and whatnot. And then, of course, the end of it, we have the house at the top. So that's basically the layout right now. This is the point where I think I'm kind of happy with this right now. It's not final, and I'm obviously going to need to go through and do some decoration, but I think what I'm going to do now is begin moving on to the next part of this island. What I really want to do is start getting the layout down for everything else, so things are in the position, so I can then, you know, do all the terraforming, and then what I'll basically do as we get to the end of this series, I will do a final kind of decorating pass where we go and create all the items and place everything down. So there is more stuff that needs to be done to this village, but I think for the purpose of this episode, that's pretty much it. And then once we get to the end of it, and we've kind of got all the layouts out, then we'll fine tune. So with that being said, if you've got any recommendations for what you think we should do next, if we want to kind of start building the castle area for the museum, maybe we want to go over to the kind of far side of the map and build, I don't know, Kakariko Forest or something, or the Garuda area, something like that. Let me know what you guys think we should be doing next. We'll start working towards that, and yeah, catch you guys in the next episode. Remember, if you want to catch these, they will be every Sunday for the time being, so yeah, make sure you tune in, turn on notifications, stay subscribed, and have a good week. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. Don't forget, if you haven't already done so, you can join the Arekkz Gaming Discord. We've got an awesome community over there with so many different channels for you to chat loads of different topics and different games. I'm in there, the team's in there if you guys want to chat with us, find people to play with. It's just in general a great place to be. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our future uploads.